Thank you so much.
Well, there is still about 800,000 customers still in Florida who do not have power after Irma. And now three new storms have formed in the Atlantic.
And one of them is already a hurricane. Another is strengthening and could hit the same islands that Irma hit. CNN meteorologist Allison Chinchard joining us live. All right, what is the first concern for you?
In the short term, it's actually going to be Maria. Maria was just formed yesterday, or newly named yesterday, rather. Jose is the one that we're going to be watching, but most likely at this point, it actually looks like it's no longer going to be a huge threat for the U.S. So that is a bit of good news. And we take a look at the current statistics with Jose. Right now, 80 miles per hour, so it's still a Category 1 hurricane. It's made that shift off to the north. Now, by doing so, it's a little bit further east than maybe perhaps originally anticipated. So that means, with the exception of, say, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and the extreme eastern portions of the Cape, we really don't have a U.S. landfall expected at this point. And the National Hurricane Center saying that a U.S. landfall at this point, not very a high possibility. With that said, we can still expect some strong winds and extremely dangerous rip currents still along much of the East Coast from North Carolina up to Maine. Now we move on to Tropical Storm Maria, currently sitting over the open Atlantic, 65 miles per hour. We're talking less than 10 miles an hour away from being a hurricane, and we expect it to strengthen up to a hurricane likely in the next 24 hours. The problem is the track of this storm. Take a look, guys. I mean, again, it's going to go back and hit some of the exact same islands that were just hit by Irma. We're talking some of the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands, into Puerto Rico, then to the Dominican Republic. But then the question becomes, where does it go from there? We've got relatively good agreement up to that point of Puerto Rico. It's after that the models begin to split. This red one is the American model, which actually starts to veer it back out over the open Atlantic away from the U.S. The blue dot is the European model. This actually continues the track, pushing it closer to the U.S. coastline. But at this point, Victor and Christy, we'd be talking at least 8 to 10 days, if more likely 11 or 12 days from now, and a lot can change. In the short term, however, we are looking at tropical storm watches for places like Martinique, Barbados, and then hurricane watches for Dominica, St. Kitts, and St. Martin, one of the hardest hit areas just recently by Hurricane Irma.
And let's be honest, the European track has been more accurate, has it not?
With Harvey, with Irma, and even with regards to Jose, it had it staying off the coast for most of the run. So, yes.
All right. Allison Chinchard, thanks so much for watching them.